Hi, I'm Mike Cooper. Welcome to St. John's United Church of Christ in downtown Owosso, Michigan. We have a long history as a church called to follow Jesus' path of unconditional love, social justice, and inclusion. St. John's was formed in the 1890s here at our current address, 429 North Washington, interestingly, over a question of inclusion, a question of who could and who could not be part of the church. What happened? In the 1890s, early in the 1890s, a group of workers here in Owosso started a shared fund. Each worker would donate $1 a month, and that fund would be used to help each other when a worker was sick or injured. Participating in that fund resulted in about 50 workers being kicked out of their local church because their church interpreted that fund as insurance, which was against their church rules. Yet these workers knew better than that. They knew that Jesus taught them to love their neighbors, and that was the focus of this fund. That's when they decided to start this church in 1894. As a church that would be focused on God's mercy and grace and ministered to everyone in inclusive ways without a bunch of extra unhelpful rules. Right from the start, we focused mostly on Jesus' command to love God and love neighbor, rather than making sure everyone follows the exact same rules or making sure everyone has identical beliefs. This is very different from the path taken by most other churches and denominations who fought bitterly over creeds and dogma. Other churches who strive for purity of belief, which has caused many denominations to split into pieces because of disagreements over literally everything. Since our founding, St. John's has headed in the opposite direction. Our focus has always been on coming together and staying together, even if we don't agree on everything, because that's what it means to love God and love neighbor. Oh, and it's been a journey. Our inclusive approach has been challenged time and again over the years. Almost right away in the early 1900s, for example, our church realized that women were not allowed to vote. It was just common sense then. Of course women weren't allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to vote in churches. They weren't allowed to vote in national or state elections. And we realized this was a tremendous injustice and was not consistent with our inclusive ideals. So, in 1917, the men of this church voted to be more inclusive again by granting women full standing, including voice and vote in all church matters. And because of this, people from very different spiritual backgrounds have felt welcome in our church because we've set aside dogmatic rigidity, the stuff that's divided churches and people, and replaced it with a more inclusive and loving approach. We decided that being together in community was ultimately more important than our past differences. Our current denomination, the United Church of Christ, is a grassroots denomination which allows us to be this way. It means all decisions in the United Church of Christ are controlled at the local level, so we can be free to be what God calls us to be. The people of this church own the building. They decide what pastor to call. They decide what to believe, not the denomination. The denomination is important to us. It provides support, but never top-down control. And while we've been inclusive of all types of people since our foundation, we formally voted in 2016 to make another public statement to that effect. Our current open and affirming statement describes our commitment to welcome everyone to participate fully in the life of this church, regardless of their race, age, family structure, gender identity or expression, their sexual orientation, their education, their ability, or their faith background. We are committed to being a safe place for all, and a place where people are welcome no matter where they are in their faith journey. So, if community, if civility, if loving God and loving neighbor and the example of Jesus Christ are important to you, if that's what you're interested in, come visit us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. If serving people in need in your community interests you, come see us. or visit our website to learn more. Thank you, and may your trust in God bring you peace in Jesus Christ. Amen.